there. Who knew that I could stay up later than most children in America? It's true, I can. It's fun to see exclamation points everywhere around this set. There's on the posters, on the name, and also on the please laugh signs. I didn't know that he had those, but that actually probably helps the show a little bit. The set staff was pleased because Greg and I share the same size booster seat and the same size shoes. All right, look, for anyone battling addictions or lots of big thorny problems in their lives, the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem, and that's not easy to do. Then you have to accept that you have to get up off your duff and commit to making things better. That's right, I said duff, and that's the kind of salty language you will get from Dana Perino after dark. So here's what you do. You make a plan, you tackle the issue, you try to change your circumstances, you get better results and solve your problem. You can't just sit back, blame others, and expect everything to be okay, or can you? Let's see how the leader of the free world is approaching his set of problems. He's setting records all over the place. Record inflation, record gas prices, record increases in crime, which has led to record low poll numbers. The one thing he's been able to do is bring everyone together on one question. A whopping record 74% of people surveyed in a recent poll believe the country is on the wrong track. They've even broken the record for audacity. I mean, you cannot help but laugh at what the president thinks should get glowing coverage. The historic airlift from Afghanistan, the historic shipments of baby formula from Europe, the historic release from our strategic petroleum reserve. And he sounds like a broken record as he tries to blame everyone but himself.
It's outrageous what the war in Ukraine is causing. We've never seen anything like Putin's tax on both food and gas. Exxon made more money than God this year. Why aren't they drilling? Because they make more money not producing more oil. My Republican colleagues say these programs to help the working class and middle class people, they say that's why we have inflation. They're dead wrong. Under my predecessor, the great MAGA king, the deficit increased every single year he was president.
He even has decided to blame his most loyal remaining friends, the media.
Look how the press has changed. Mm-hmm. Look how the press has changed.
It has changed. Oh, listen, I get it.
Even the really good reporters, they have to get the number of clicks on nightly news. Mm-hmm. So instead of asking a question, anyway, it just everything gets sensationalized.
Anyway. It got so bad that a couple of weeks ago, after going about 120 days without doing a single interview with any reporter, he sauntered back to the press cabin on Air Force One to complain about his press coverage. And get this, it was off the record. Even the reporters were taken aback. The Biden cabinet and his communications team, well, they have picked up on this. Don't blame us, blame yourselves, media. Which is strange to me because I know political communications very well. I mean, has anyone in this room ever heard that I was the White House press secretary to President George W. Bush? I'm sure you've heard it. I started out as a young Hill staffer. Well, I don't get applause. I just thought it was funny that I also say it way too much, and everybody certainly knows. But anyway, I didn't start out as White House press secretary. I was a young staffer on the Hill. I had all this optimism. I was super excited to work with the Fourth Estate on making sure that the issues were covered fairly and that my Republican congressman could get a fair shot in the press. Oh, how innocent I was. It lasted like 4 days. You see, the easiest job in Washington is a Democratic communications staffer. The hardest job, repairing the teleprompter after Kamala goes off script. Think about it. The reporters write what you want written. They agree to keep your comments to staffer more anonymous than a list of men who watch The View. They run cover for you. Even the press will write that it's not Chesa Boudin's fault that in San Francisco there's either fecal matter or mass looting on every street corner. In fact, there are several jobs harder than a Democrat communications staffer. Matchmaker for Channing Tatum. Dwayne Johnson's personal trainer. Snack wrangler for Brian Stelter. Sorry, Brian. I mean, I'm just filling in here. And Greg's personal shopper, of course. And then the comm staffers will laugh behind the reporters' backs, knowing that they've used them to meet their goals. But I do feel for the comm staffer in a way, because here's a Perino rule. Whenever you hear that someone has a communications problem, say, immediately no. Communications problems are caused by fact problems, by policy problems. And no policy problem in the history of the world was ever solved by a change in messaging. Believe me, I've tried. Larry will remember that. This isn't a communications problem. It's a Joe Biden problem. A communications problem is when his mic doesn't work. A Joe Biden problem is when it does. The White House press office doesn't have much to work with. They aren't making new policies. Watch here.
Understand that prices, these gas prices, including food prices in particular, those two things, as we look at inflation and trying to make sure that we're fighting inflation in every way that we can, is hurting families. Is hurting families, especially as they sit around their kitchen table. But we're going to continue to do everything that we can. I don't have anything to preview for you.
They're also living with the consequences of Biden's policies. We all are. And we're reminded of it left and right. Gas, groceries, baby formula, the list goes on. Now, how hard is it to figure out that you can't message inflation away? Anyways, let's just say, though, that the administration watches Gutfeld. Let's say they do. Gutfeld exclamation point, and they take my advice. And they start to admit that they have a problem. And they start to try to solve them. The last step to recovery would be next. And that is admitting your wrongs and making amends to the American people. It's unlikely that the president will be doing that. So it's every man for himself, and at least we have each other. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's like a company that rents out bouncy houses, always worried about inflation. He's the host of Kudlow on Fox Business, Larry Kudlow. He's on a number of who's who lists because no one knows who he is. He's the host of Fox Across America, Jimmy Fallon. For him, working remotely means moving to Alaska. Actor, writer, and comedian Jamie LaSalle. And she gets carried away when holding helium-filled balloons. Fox News contributor, Kat Tim. So we're in, there's no turning back now. Larry, do you think President Biden runs again in 2024? And if he decides not to, is it age or is the economy not going to get any better?
Well, it's going to be both. It's got to be both. I mean, I don't want to be accused of ageism, so I'll just stay with all his policy mistakes. I really liked your AA 12-step routine. You've got to own it. Did I nail it? You've got to own it, yeah. And you've got to deal with it. And when you were wrong, you should promptly admit it. Of course, they won't do that. He's living in some kind of alternate universe. And unfortunately, the country's paying the price for this right now. You see an inflation record, stocks are getting killed, interest rates are going up, real wages are falling. You went through the list. I happen to agree. He can't possibly run on that record. So I think he's probably too old, okay, but I really don't want to go there.
Message away inflation. Like they can't start talking about it in a different way and make inflation better.
Well, your other point is exactly right. There's no such thing as a communications problem. It's about policy and substance and what you're doing. And are you helping the country or hurting the country? Everybody in the country outside of the Biden White House understands that the country is vastly worse off. So he can't possibly run. But look, the semifinals is going to be in November. He's going to get slaughtered. The cavalry's coming, and things are going to get better. I like to be an optimist.
Yes, you are. That's why we love you and we keep having you back.
This must change, and as always the case in America, which is the greatest country, it will.
I agree, indeed, absolutely. Jimmy, can the media be better when it comes to Biden's press coverage? Can they be more helpful to him?
No, because every question is a tough question. When you ask Joe Biden what state he's in, he gets it wrong quite frequently. So what are we supposed to do with Joe Biden, the only guy we know who quits talking in the middle of a sentence because he's done? You understand? Like, dude, this guy is sending in the punt team on second down. That's not how it's supposed to work. I would love to see him run again, though, just because somebody would have to sell this. Like, could you imagine asking the American people to vote for this guy again? That's like handing out cruise brochures on a lifeboat from the Titanic. But think about Monday through Thursday. Weren't those good dinners? Like, seriously. But seriously, here's the only upside to the Biden presidency, and I've combed high and low. You know I'm a silver lining guy, and I really am. The only improvement in the quality of life under Biden is that arsons are down 91% because no one can burn down your house at $5.15 a gallon. That's where we are. That's it. That's it. If someone burns down your house right now, Dana, you should be flattered. Like, they really care. That's it.
They all those hard-earned dollars.
Thank you.
To do that. Kat, the calls are coming from inside the House now. The Democrats are now the ones saying to, whispering to the New York Times anonymously, like, he can't be our nominee in 2024.
Yeah, but I think that they still don't really get it. Some of the people in that article who were on the record, like David Axelrod, saying, well, one of the problems is that Biden looks his age. And I'm like, well, I don't think lip injections are going to solve this. And he actually does prove to me, I finally now understand what age is just a number means, because like my grandparents are like 10 years older than Joe Biden, and they're way better at words. Like, I would be so concerned if I heard either one of them talking like this, and they're not the leader of the free world. I think that people are more concerned about everything that's going wrong. There's inflation, people are struggling, and it's, kind of the equivalent of when you send a friend a text and they really need some help, and you have a really bad day, and they go, damn, that sucks. Like, that's what he's doing in all his press conferences. Like, well, yeah, we know, we're working, but are you? People want to, it's not just that things are bad, it's people have no confidence that anything's going to get better.
And as Greg said last week, he always explains what inflation is. Like, no, we know, we feel it every single day. Greg sent in a question for you.
Oh, okay.
So I would never say this, okay? As a divorced man, do you blame all your problems on your ex-wife?
I'll be honest with you, I definitely blame her for the divorce.
Okay.
It was her idea. But Dana, you were so right in your monologue that this is not a communication problem. It is a fact problem. Even in just the short clips we saw, he said Exxon has more money than God. I don't think God even has money. Like, in every picture I've seen, he doesn't even have pockets. And like, did you guys read there was one article that didn't quite, like the text didn't quite come up in what we've talked about so far, but it was Biden complaining, saying people kept throwing things on his desk. Like, see, every time I look up, there's like more stuff to do. People keep throwing stuff on my desk. I'm like, yeah, you're like the president, right? Like, there's stuff to do. And that's not just stuff. Those are life-saving medications. Don't you think it's where I think Kat is so right that age really is just a number, and we know people that are much older that are spry and sharp, and this is just, and people, I've heard people say like he's an old 79, and I like to put a positive spin on it. I think he's more like a young 115. Or like a youthful Dracula monster.
But can I just say,
yes.
If the economy were booming and prices were stable and gasoline was low, where Donald Trump left it, I might add, if the United States was respected around the world, a
lot of ifs, Larry.
If he hadn't bungled Afghanistan, I don't think anybody would care about his age. That's why I hate to make the age point too hard. I mean, I don't know enough about all that. All I'm saying is it's what he's done and then the harm he's done to the country through his policies, and the fact that, as you mentioned earlier, he won't acknowledge any of it. He's never to blame. The guy is the sort of least introspective person I've ever seen in my life, and that's what's killing him.
All right, up next is crime-consuming conversations in areas with sparse populations.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.